the darkness the zombie did call. True pain and suffering he brought to them all. Away ran the children to hide in their beds, for fear that the devil would chop off their heads.
It's time for Atomic Monsoon with your hosts, Jedi Stephanie.
Guess who's number one now?
Josh.
I did not watch a single season of The Bachelor. Why is my who saying I want to watch The Bachelor?
And Psycho Andy.
My hands are only wet because I watched them. There's no other reason for that.
And now, it's Atomic Monsoon.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to Atomic Monsoon. Ha 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 ha!
Oh man, I feel like we've got a haunted monsoon this week.
Indeed we do. What's up, Andy?
It's Wednesday. It's a couple days earlier from when we normally record, which means I'm going to put this episode up earlier, so people who are astute will find us a couple days sooner.
Indeed.
Yeah. Hey,
yeah, that's on me though, but yeah.
Well, listen, sometimes we all have appointments and real life things we need to keep track of, and fortunately, I have kind of an open schedule these days. So,
Indeed.
Yeah, working from home has some benefits.
It does indeed. But we have to thank our friends at Def M Records though for that awesome intro.
We sure do. Thanks, guys. If you liked our intro, not the Rob Zombie part at the very beginning, but if you like the music part, that's by our friends at Def M Records. As we say every week, you can check them out at defmrecords.bandcamp.com and find some cool new music. And the band The Saturn III has been counting down their social media for the last few days. And if my math is correct, something's happening on Halloween Day. So knowing those guys, they love some numbers and they love some plays with stuff. Like they like to theme their releases. So I'm guessing they're going to have something horror related.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. Or if you're listening to this after Halloween 2020, whatever year it is, you could just go to defmrecords.bandcamp.com or the saturniii.bandcamp.com and find out what they did.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
But yes, because it is Halloween week, we thought we would talk about just our favorite Halloween spooky themed things.
Yeah. That seems to make sense to me.
Yeah.
I have so I have a quick honorable mention.
Go ahead.
So I want to just throw out the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors. I know all of us old folks who grew up watching The Simpsons as kids, everyone's like, oh, the new Simpsons isn't that great. Like, yeah, I mean, nothing is going to top those first 10 seasons, which, by the way, the fact that The Simpsons has been going for 30 seasons is impressive. 30 plus seasons, and the fact that we can say like, yeah, seasons 2 through 9 or 2 through 10 or whatever are the good ones, like, yeah, that's still a ton of show. But that being said, I watched a bunch of the more recent Treehouse of Horrors this week, and they're still pretty good. Like, are they as good as the first few? No, but are they still good? Yeah, and if you're just watching them on their own and not in comparison, they're a lot of fun. And speaking of Treehouse of Horrors, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Knowing Is Half the Podcast. This week, their episode was actually highlighting their favorite episodes of Treehouse of Horrors. And in addition to that, over the last week, they had me on for, we pre-recorded a segment for their theme song throwdown that they're doing, where they're having a big tournament of all their favorite cartoon theme songs. And they're doing a Patreon exclusive episode where their patrons got to come on and do what they're calling a redemption bracket for one song that got knocked out in the first round to do kind of a play-in thing for the second round. And then they had each of their patrons come on and do a segment where we got to pick what song moves from round 2 to round 3. So I got to record with them this past week. I don't know when those episodes are going up. The Patreon exclusive one will be up for only their Patreon subscribers at the $5 or above level. It's not in that archive right now, but hopefully it will be shortly. And I don't know when the round 2 thing is, but it's going to be tagged to the end of an episode. So if you need an extra 15 minutes of me talking about cartoon theme songs at some point,
There you go.
check out Knowing Is Half the Podcast sometime in the upcoming weeks. I'll mention it when I find out that it's actually up. But yeah, go check them out and go listen to their last, I don't know, probably like dozen or 15 something episodes where they're doing competitions between theme songs and picking their favorites. So
That sounds like so much fun.
it is. Yeah. Yeah. They're good dudes. All three of them are good people. So
Excellent.
I was happy to be on the show with them.
Awesome. That sounds like a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Go check it out, guys.
How about you, Steph? Do you have any honorable mentions for favorite Halloween things?
I mean, I obviously did the Haunted Mansion intro because that is a beloved Disney ride that is very
I
spooky
feel
and scary.
A couple of our guests, when we've asked them what their favorite roller coaster is, they say the Haunted Mansion, and it's like that's not even. Or I guess
not
Tower
even-
of Terror.
Oh.
Yeah, but either way, those aren't even roller coasters. So
One's a dark ride, one's a drop ride.
yeah,
But they're both Halloween themed
For
spooky
sure.
rides, and both are amazing. So,
for sure. Yeah.
but aside from that, the one I have is The Nightmare Before Christmas because that everyone and their mother, it's like every time I ask them what their favorite Halloween movie is, it's either that or Hocus Pocus. So there's some audible mentions right there. I'm not saying that I'm not going to talk about them because they're everywhere, folks. They're both on Disney Plus. Go check them out.
Yeah.
So.
Nightmare Before Christmas is an interesting thing. It used to get re-released in theaters, like for like 3 or 4 years in a row. It got a re-release, like a 1 or 2 day only event in theaters.
Oh.
And one year it was in 3D, like it was like sort of the precursor to the 3D phase that everyone was doing.
Mhm.
So I've actually seen that movie in theaters probably more than any other movie, which is especially funny because I didn't see it in theaters the first time.
That is funny.
Yeah. The commercials actually scared me because I was like a little kid.
Mhm.
And it's a spooky Halloween thing, right?
Mhm.
And something about Jack Skellington just terrified little like 9-year-old Andy. And
Plus, it's also kind of creepy claymation as well.
claymation doesn't bother me in the slightest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that movie, the commercials were too scary for me as a kid, and then when I finally saw it when I was like, I don't know, 15 or something, I was like, oh, this movie's awesome. Why am I afraid of this? And then yeah, anytime it's gotten a release in theaters, I've tried to go check it out. So
All right, yeah. And I saw it at a friend's house one night. That's an evening that I won't talk about here on Atomic Monsoon because it did end with an ER visit for my friend.
oh no,
So,
are they okay now?
Yeah, no, they're fine now. Yeah, but this was like
Okay,
second grade Stephanie, and friends.
Jeez. Talk about scary stuff.
Yeah, no, we're watching Night Before Christmas, and then legitimate scream comes out of nowhere, and we're just all like, ah!
Okay, but everything turned out okay in the end.
Yeah, everything turned out okay in the end. Everyone was
Okay.
fine. It was just,
Jeez.
yeah. Just sleepover ended early. Was all it is. That's
Sure.
pretty much how it went.
Yeah,
So-
I can imagine. Yeah.
So, anyway, moving on now. Andy, what is one of your favorite Halloween things?
Okay, so this one's a little bit of a cheat. I'm going to talk about The Crow, the 1994 film starring Brandon Lee and Ernie Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a cheat because it's actually about Devil's Night, the night before Halloween, but that's still part of the Halloween season, I think.
Yeah. That still
So-
counts.
Yeah. I just rewatched the movie earlier this week,
Mhm.
and it I think it holds up, but I'm also super biased. So like if you saw the movie, I don't know if you would think that it's as cool as I think it is.
Okay.
The thing about that movie is it's very stuck in 1994, which makes sense. That's when it came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the entire thing is like this weird, like grunge goth industrial thing.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back at it, I realized that it's very influential on my sense of style. Not necessarily like the way I dress, but just kind of like, the things that I think are cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there was a lot of that at that time because, the Crow, the movie is based on a comic book that came out a few years earlier by James O'Barr. It has kind of the same tone as the early issues of the Spawn comics, which came out in 1992. Before Christmas came out in 1993. So there was something about that time period that just had this thing that was like, I don't know. It's part of why I am the way that I am.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the movie is about a guy and his fiance who are murdered on Devil's Night, the day before their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the legend of the movie, a crow is what brings you from your life to the afterworld when you die. But if you were murdered in a way that was so unjust, the crow can bring your spirit back. So 1 year after he's killed, Eric Draven's soul is brought back by a crow, and he digs himself out of his grave and takes revenge on the people that killed he and his fiancée Shelley. And Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters plays the police officer that is kind of his assistant, and his fiance's neighborhood friend Sarah, who is legitimately played by a 12-year-old girl in the movie, and she's like a tough, streetwise kid. And like the actress, I was reading on it today, like she actually learned how to skateboard for the movie, and then didn't act in anything again until 2009 because while filming The Crow, Brandon Lee was accidentally killed on set, and she wanted nothing to do with Hollywood again after that.
That's valid.
Yeah. For anyone who hasn't heard the story, I mean, it's a 26-year-old tale at this point, but basically what happened was there was a scene where Brandon Lee's character, Eric Draven, the Crow, gets shot, and one of the guns... The short answer is the blank got fired too hard and penetrated his skin and mortally wounded him, and he died in the hospital. Yeah. There's the Wikipedia entry actually has a really detailed explanation of exactly what happened, but basically it was one of those things where like it was a legitimately honest freak accident, and there was question about whether or not to even release the movie after that point. And Miramax Pictures like basically paid them $8 million to continue finishing. Like they only had a few days left of production anyways, so they recut some of the scenes because they didn't have the main actor anymore. They used a stunt double to fill in a couple of moments. And for 1994, you wouldn't know that they digitally composited his face onto another actor's body. It was pretty seamless special effects. So
wow.
Yeah. It's made this movie kind of this weird cult phenomenon where everyone is like, oh, I don't want any more Crow movies. Like, why would you dishonor his legacy like this? And it's like, well, I mean, it's still based on a comic book that has several iterations of like, they're all different tales of the Crow bringing someone else back to life for revenge. So I get it. Like, if you only know about the movie, like, yeah, I could see why you wouldn't want to. I certainly don't think there ever should be a remake. I think, just tell other tales. But yeah, anyways, the movie's awesome. If you were a fan of 1994, which I was. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
How about you? What is one of your favorite Halloween things?
So one of my favorite Halloween things is, Disney Channel had like an overabundance of Halloween themed movies. Like I could probably name 20 right now if I wanted to. And that's not even all of them. That's kind of insane.
Yeah, they sure did have a lot of those.
Yeah, because it's like if you look at the number of actual Halloween-themed movies or like specials or things like that, the number is huge, but it's like nothing compared to Christmas movies. Sure. But I mean, like if you put it all like on the was it the ABC Family 30? Well, I guess it's Freeform now, but Freeform's 31 Nights of Halloween. They seem to play the same 4 or 5 films, and it's like you're a corporation associated with Disney. Take the Disney Channel films and throw them there.
I mean, but in fairness, Hocus Pocus is a Disney movie, so
it is. But when you're playing Hocus Pocus, Nightmare Before Christmas, Coco, and then like 3 other films over and over and over again for 31 nights.
I mean, those are all Disney movies.
That's true.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. You're totally right, but I also totally see this as like, hey, if you want more of our kinds of Halloween movies like this, subscribe to Disney Plus. And
there you go.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But anyway, so the movies I'm talking about are pretty much known throughout a lot of people in my generation as the Halloween Town series.
Yeah, man. Anytime I talk to any of you mid-90s millennial kids, and it's hey, what Halloween movies you like? It's Halloween Town is number one all the time.
Yep. So Disney Channel released not consistently, but like over a period of several years, they released 4 movies all labeled with the title of Halloween Town. So there's Halloween Town, Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, Halloween Town High, and then Return to Halloween Town. Those are the 4.
Okay.
The long story short is pretty much in the first movie, Marnie Piper, or Marnie Cromwell is her actual is like her witch name, because
Okay.
that's her family's actual name. And her family are living in, somewhere in the Midwest, and in like the real world where there's no magic, things like that. And one year during Halloween, her grandmother, played by the late Debbie Reynolds, comes to town and decides to tell Marnie, now that she's old enough, because she's the oldest of the three siblings, that, hey, by the way, you and your siblings are all witches, and so is your mom, and so am I. And we come from this magical realm known as Halloween Town. And so they sneak away. So when their grandmother leaves, they sneak away to go see what this Halloween Town's all about. So, and it pretty much follows the kids learning about this mythical little town that has witches, warlocks, monsters, demons, like all these things, and they're just living in harmony. They're just living their lives like in this small little Midwest-ish looking Halloween themed town in like another realm. And as the series goes on, we're following Marnie as she becomes a more powerful witch, as she's befriending all of the creatures of Halloween Town, as she stops the evil Calabar, as she, tries to make the real world and the magical world come together. And then, of course, her going to the witch university in the fourth one, where they actually switched the actress who played her. And we thought no one would notice, but people did. But they switched the actress and everything, but everyone else was the same actors and actresses, which was kind of strange. And pretty much she now is attending Witch University, where there's kind of free reign for everyone to attend, not just witches and warlocks. Like anybody can attend, and it's kind of like a weird college, high school drama-esque feel. And it's really good. Like all four of them are really, really good. And oddly enough, growing up, I was terrified to watch the first two because they actually were kind of horrifying with Calabar being the villain. But as I went back an adult and watched them again later, I love all four of them. They're all great. They're on Disney Plus. If you want to go watch them, I highly recommend Halloween Town.
Okay.
So.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right here, and I did not realize that Marnie's mother, Gwen, is played by Judith Hoag, who was April O'Neil in the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And then her mom is played by Debbie Reynolds, of course, who is the mother of Carrie Fisher. So, yeah. Huh. Crazy.
Also, whenever someone says Halloween Town, and they're referring to the Nightmare Before Christmas movie, my mind always goes to this first before realizing, oh wait, you're talking about Nightmare. Never mind.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, didn't even consider that.
So, what's another one of yours?
Okay, so I'm going to mix things up, and I'm going to talk about something we've never talked about on Atomic Monsoon before, really, and that is a music album.
Ooh.
Yeah, as you may have guessed from our intro, the intro to our intro, Rob Zombie's Hellbilly Deluxe record was also a big influence on my teenage years. It came out in 1998, so I would have been 15 or 16, depending on, I don't remember what month it came out.
Yeah.
I think it was later in the year, so I think I was 16. But yeah, it's funny. Like, I'm not a huge fan of his stuff when he was in the band White Zombie, and I'm not really a huge fan of a lot of his other stuff. But something about that record. And there's a few songs here and there that I like otherwise, but something about the Hellbilly Deluxe record really hit me. I was just the right age for it. It's just enough camp. It's just enough scary stuff. It's just enough heavy metal, industrial metal. It's just enough, the stuff that my mom hated listening to. Although, strangely, one time my mom and I actually saw Rob Zombie in concert together. A friend of hers ended up with some tickets, and his friends bailed or whatever, and asked if she wanted to go. And I had just gotten the record, or the CD, because it was the 90s. And yeah, so she was like, "Do you want to go see Rob Zombie tomorrow?" And I was like, "What?" And she explained the situation, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, I guess I could go to a heavy metal concert with my mom." Sure.
Coolest mom ever.
I mean, yeah. And after talking with her about it, after the show, it was like, "So what did you think?" She's like, "Well, I hated the music." And I was like, "Right." And she goes, "But I really liked all of his stage production stuff. I liked the dancing girls in the cages. I liked the robot guy that came out and danced. I liked the big castle set that he had." And I was like, "Okay, Well, that's weird, but sure.
I mean, hey, appreciation for the text. I'm all about that.
For sure. Yeah. But yeah. So that album, which has Super Beast and Dragula, which were his two big hits. Dragula is actually named after a car, and it's the same model car that the Munsters drove around in their TV show.
Ha, love it.
Yeah. And then what's the name of the song? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Living Dead Girl is off that record as well. Although the version of that song I like best is off his next album, which is not a studio album, it was a remake. Hellbilly Deluxe got completely remixed as American Made Music to Strip By. It's a whole album that's just remixes of the previous album. And the remix of Living Dead Girl on there is maybe my favorite of his songs. So
all right, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, we don't really talk about music because it's weird to have an audio podcast, but like legally we can't really play music without permission from the artist or the studio. And it's like, hey, listen to this song. Oh, I can't play it for you. So
fair enough.
Yeah, and I know music podcasts are a thing where they're kind of stuck with the same deal, but like
yeah.
Also, I don't want you to stop listening to the podcast to go listen to the song and then forget to turn us back on. So
there's that too.
Yeah.
So no, cool. All right. Yeah, no, we don't really talk about music a whole lot on here, which I learned because Andy, remember how I made my Halloween themed Spotify playlist, and I actually surprisingly had a decent number of songs in there. Yeah, I've added more, and I checked at the timestamp. I have 9 hours worth of Halloween-esque themed music that includes anything creepy, zombie, anything evil, just associated could work with Halloween. And I have a 7-hour Christmas playlist. I have more Halloween themed songs than I do Christmas.
And this is your work safe Halloween playlist?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's all stuff that's not Rob Zombie.
Yes. Well, it's also things that I have heard. So I mean, I guess you could say it's work safe, but yet I have the Beetlejuice album from the new Broadway musical on there. And there's an entire song called The Whole Being Dead Thing, and there's swear words being dropped left and right and about doing cocaine and stuff like that. So there's that.
Okay. So maybe slightly less than work safe now.
Yeah. But anyway, so thinking of music stuff, though, made me think of my next pick, which is, so I'm putting these two together just because they both come with really good songs in them.
Okay.
But they're not musicals. They are Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Okay. I have not seen either of these, although I do remember when both of them were released because I believe I was working at Blockbuster when they both went straight to video. So
the thing with these movies is that think of your typical Scooby-Doo type anything.
Oh, so the Mystery Incorporated and their dog show up to a thing and something's being haunted and they split up and search for clues and there's a weird chase scene with some 60s music and then it turns out that someone that they met earlier in the episode is a guy in a mask that's trying to scare everyone away for some greedy purpose, and he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't a few meddling kids.
Exactly, yes. So these two movies took that idea and threw it out the window.
Wait, what?
So the Mystery Inc. is still there. So there's still Freddy, Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby. But there's not really the split up and search for clues. Oddly enough, in either of these. Okay. I mean, I think
there's some episodes where they don't split up, so sure.
Yeah.
But okay.
But I mean, like, they don't intentionally say the key line of, "Hey guys, we should split up and look for clues." Like, they don't actually say, like, there's no I can't speak today, man. God dang it. There's no reference to it. If they split up, it's because it just naturally happened, type of thing.
Okay.
And at the end, there's no person in a mask either.
Wait,
there's
it's actually zombies?
It's actually zombies. It's actually voodoo. It's actually magic that is being performed here, folks. So, so for those of you that don't know, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, for a real quick refresh, which it is on Netflix. I watched it the other day. It was great. The whole premise of it is that this is obviously years later, and Daphne has her own TV show called Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake. And she decides to have her second season be about looking for actual ghost stories. and they go to Louisiana because, the bayou can be kind of creepy sometimes.
Sure.
To search for real ghost stories, and they stumble upon this. I think it's called Moonscar Island.
Okay.
And it's like this little island in the bayou, and they go there because they're being told by a woman who works there that the actual place is haunted. So they go, discover that it's haunted, type of thing, and Daphne's recording all of the spooky things that are happening, but Freddie and Velma are being very skeptical about the whole thing, saying, no, it's not real, it's probably just a projector, or it's probably just some guy in a pirate costume wanting to get treasure, because apparently the island is named after a pirate that used to actually invaded the island, like back in the 1700s or so. And pretty much, long story short, they discover that no, the ghost is actually real. The ghost is actually real, and what makes matters worse is that while they're there, Scooby and Shaggy at first stumble across a zombie, and no one believes them, obviously. And then, while late one night after they're having dinner, Scooby and Shaggy are eating in the back of the mystery machine because there's a bunch of cats at the house, and Scooby and cats just don't go together.
Sure.
And while they're sitting there eating, suddenly they just get attacked by a horde of zombies. So the gang does actually split up here, but they're looking for Scooby and Shaggy. They're not looking for clues. They're just like, where are our friends go?
Mm-hmm.
And while they're searching, they also stumble across the zombies, and it leads to this amazing metal rock song called It's Terror Time Again.
Okay.
Look it up. It's great.
All right.
But it's actually the one Scooby-Doo song that I feel like, aside from the theme songs, that people actually know exists. Because usually when you have like that 60s theme that's kind of playing when they're running down the hallway and they have like the Scooby-Doo like chase scene, you forget about the song title and you move on with your life. This one, no, I have actually talked to a lot of people who have watched Scooby-Doo and they all go, yes, that song's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, the zombies are real, and it turns out that they exist because the two women that actually live on the island are actually from the 1700s and are cursed by some cat spirit thing, and now they actually have the ability to suck the soul from someone's body and leave them as a lifeless moving corpse.
Okay.
And on the harvest moon, the corpses come back out and they, be zombies. And it's actually it was actually one of the scariest things I saw as a kid. And the witch's ghost is very similar to that. They go to a festival. They go to a harvest-themed festival place in like New England. I think Salem, oddly enough. And while there's this band called the Hex Girls that are preparing for the festival. And we get the song "The Hex Girls" and Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air, which again, quality songs.
Okay.
And they pretty much have to discover, okay, is the ghost real or not? And it turns out the ghost wasn't real. It was a whole thing for the party, but it turns out the guy that was running around with them trying to tell the villagers that they shouldn't be making fun of this ghost. Yeah, it turns out he was actually a Wiccan who had the ability to summon her actual ghost.
Okay.
And she reigns terror on the town, and they have to stop him and her, and in the end she ends up dragging the guy into the book with her, and they get sealed into this book. And it's like, I'm sitting here thinking, these are both late 90s Scooby-Doo movies. Scooby-Doo's happy, cheery, and funny. This is horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think those are both early 2000s, but yeah. Either way.
Well,
like Scooby-Doo started in like 1968, so
yes.
I think they had time to play with the format. So
yeah, it's 98 for Zombie Island, 99 for Witch's Ghost, and you can find Zombie Island on Netflix. You cannot find the Witch's Ghost anywhere unless you order it off Prime. So
okay.
But yeah. Anyway, that's mine. Moving on to yours.
Yeah. So let's see. I got a movie. I got an album. I guess I'll go into a video game.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we did our favorite video games, I mentioned Castlevania Symphony of the Night is one of my favorite games. But really, I like pretty much most of the older Castlevania franchise. Pretty much anything that came out in the 80s and 90s, I'm into. Not that the other stuff is not good, but like, I'm old. So I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
So so the stuff I grew up with is stuff that I like. So on the Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox One, you can purchase, and I think Steam, you can purchase the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which has the first 7 Castlevania games. So Castlevania 1, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania Adventure on Game Boy, Castlevania Adventure 2, Belmont's Revenge, also on Game Boy, and then Castlevania Bloodlines, which was on the Sega Genesis Mega Drive. And you get all of them for like $20. And all of them except for Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, you can play the English or the Japanese versions. And the reason not for Castlevania 2 is because there's so much like it's kind of a role-playing game, so there's so much text that they'd have to go back and basically reprogram the game, or like it doesn't make sense to let you play the Japanese version unless you speak Japanese, which most Americans don't. Yeah. So, but the original Castlevania games are platformers where you go around playing as a guy with a whip and whipping the crap out of the Universal horror movies, horror monsters, basically. So, Dracula's the final boss, but as you go through, you fight like a giant bat, you fight Frankenstein's monster, mummies, it's slightly different in every game, but it's fun going through all of them. Oh, also, I forgot, it includes Kid Dracula, which was only ever released for the Famicom in Japan prior to this, where you play as a little baby Alucard, the son of Dracula, and it's kind of like a cute kids version of Castlevania. And it's a cool bonus that like it never came out over here, and they like kind of localized it so you can play it in English, specifically for this collection. And then as kind of a spin-off from that, Koji Igarashi, who was one of the developers for Symphony of the Night and some of the later Castlevania games, especially the Game Boy Advance ones like Curse of the Moon and Circle of the Moon and Portrait of Ruin, I think, Dawn of Sorrow, like all those games. He has left Konami and he has started his own series of Castlevania-esque games now because he's like, I just want to make games. I don't want to have to go through all the hoops, and who cares if it's not actually Castlevania? I just want to make games. Yeah. So he started with a Kickstarter that was like I think the most successful video game Kickstarter in history at the time, for a game called Bloodstained, and it's basically not Symphony of the Night, you guys. Very very similar game, also available on basically every platform. And then as a follow, like one was like a teaser and one was a follow up. There's the Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which are new games that look like they were done for the 8-bit Nintendo. And I think those are also available on everything. And they're super cheap. Like I bought both of them for like $20. So yeah, and they're super fun. And because it's been Halloween time, like I've been playing those and having a lot of fun with those. So hey, there's like 10 video games you can go check out.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Go. Castlevania Anniversary Collection is $20 for the 7 or 8 games, however many there are in that thing. And then the Bloodstained games, the 2 throwback ones are pretty cheap, and then the main game's like $40, so it's closer to full price, but it's not a full like $60 game. And it's pretty easy to find. So cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, if you wanna go kill some monsters while you got a few days left here before Halloween, or hell, play it whenever you want. There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So how about you? What other Halloween stuff do you like?
So going back to the movies now, because I primarily have just movies and TV shows. There's not a whole lot else I have for movies and or Halloween themed things. So my next ones are again 2 Disney Channel films. They are they're first movie and sequel. They are known as Twitches and Twitches 2. The reason why it's called Twitches is because it's about twin witches.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
It stars Tia and Tamara Mowry.
Aha. Okay.
Well known for Sister.
Yeah.
And how the movie pretty much goes is that one night on Halloween night in the Kingdom of Coventry, the darkness is attacking. Huh?
The land of Coventry made me laugh. I'm sorry, and I was trying not to spit soda all over my microphone.
Okay. So but the darkness is coming to pretty much the darkness and the light have pretty much been at war this whole time, and now the darkness is overwhelming the kingdom. And in a last-ditch effort to protect pretty much the heirs to the whole land, Aaron, his name, sacrifices himself, gives his last of his power to his twin daughters, Apollo and Artemis. Apollo wears a little sun medallion, and Artemis wears a little moon one. Okay. Which makes sense because that's based off of the Greek gods, Apollo and Artemis, who, one pulled the sun, one pulled the moon. There you go.
Right.
But anyway, so he did that, sacrificed himself to save them, and then they were rescued by two of his closest allies named Ileana and Karsh, and the two of them took the twins, split them up at birth pretty much, and ran away into our realm, our dimension, and pretty much put them in separate hospitals and separate families, so that way they were hidden from the darkness, hidden from the evil of their world, and could thrive and live their lives. So Artemis, also known as Alex, pretty much Artemis is Alex, and then Apollo becomes Cameron. But 21 years go by, which is interesting because normally like 16 or like 18 or 14 seem to be a very popular number in these things. But no, 21 years go by, and now it's time for them to fulfill the prophecy, defeat the darkness, and return home. So it becomes this whole thing of where, you run into your long-lost twin and discover you have magical powers with them. And it's a cute movie where they just are trying to learn how to use magic and learn the fact in, like, literally on Halloween Day, their birthday, how their sister lived their life and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And pretty much in the end, they come together to defeat the darkness, which turns out to be their father's brother.
Okay.
So it was very much a Hamlet type of thing where, he killed his brother for power and then happened to lie through his teeth to his sister-in-law the whole time for 21 years. But yeah, no, he pretty much gets defeated, and at the end of the movie, it's like this nice kind of like, I guess it's this nice like kind of like reuniting thing with their actual mother, but also finding like new family, and it's really cute. And in the second film, it's like a week and a half, maybe a couple of weeks later, after the whole events of the first film, and now Alex is getting to go to college because Cameron's rich parents are actually going to pay for her college education. And then Cameron and Alex are also learning how to use magic in Coventry. So it's just, it's kind of just a great set of films. I realized during my rewatch on Disney Plus that I get a lot of my sass and kind of just like sarcasm from these two movies.
Okay.
Just because of the way that Alex and Cameron interact with each other, interact with other people, and I'm like, oh God, I do that. So, they're great films. If you like magic and witches and things like that, they've got great music in there too. And heck, if you like, Tia and Tamara Mowry, go check out this old work of theirs. So
yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
All
right. Do you have another one, or?
I do. I'm going to pull an audible here because we have a little bit more time than I thought.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm going to stick in a thing that I didn't tell you we were going to talk about.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is Fistful of Blood, which is a 4-issue comic series, which is available as a trade paperback graphic novel by Ninja Turtles co-creator Kevin Eastman and famed, I don't know, lowbrow artist Simon Bisley. Here's the thing about this comic. It is not for everybody. It's barely for me.
Oh.
The main character is a very busty, very scantily clad gunslinger. And she stumbles into a town that is in the middle of a war between werewolves and vampires.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It's like, if not for the lead character's design, which is very much the way that Simon Bisley draws women, it would be fine, but like that's so distracting that it kind of takes away from it. It's an over the top silly, like, hey, I just want to draw a bunch of monsters getting blown up thing. It's loosely based on Sergio Leone's Fistful of Dollars movie. Right, it's like an old west town filled with vampires and werewolves. But I don't know, like it's here's the thing, Stephanie, I think you would hate it, but I recognize what they were going for, and I totally appreciate what they were doing. Like, I own a copy. I think it's fun, but I also know, like, yeah, this is kind of just a thing for dudes who want to watch, like, or want to read a comic about vampires getting shot to death.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It was originally printed in Heavy Metal magazine, I believe. So, I mean, anyone who knows Heavy Metal magazine knows the kind of stuff that goes into there. And then they re-released it as 4 issues in 2015, 2016, and then released the trade paperback after that. I'm looking at it on Amazon right now. Actually, as of right now, there's only one left in stock and is on sale for $11. So,
wow.
Yeah. Anyone who's listening, you could be first. But the their preview pages are actually really generous. They give a couple of story pages, and then they give a lot of the extra background material, like back matter stuff, like the rough sketches and character design things. So that's kind of fun, actually. Awesome. So if you're not sure, based on the way that I have described this, and I legitimately like this thing, but I also know that, like, you would not like it. I know, like, my mom, for example, would be like, Andy, what is the matter with you? Why would you even read something like this? You know, but, like, it is still pretty damn cool. So,
all right,
for what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, but, so, I don't know. At the very least, you can check out the Amazon listing for it, just Fistful of Blood. And check out the preview pages, and, like, hey, if this is something that you think looks cool, one lucky person can get it for $11. There's also a bunch of used copies on sale for about that price. And if you don't think it's cool, then I'm sorry, I warned you.
He did warn you.
Yeah. Anyways, I like vampire stories. Werewolves are fine, and I like Kevin Eastman, and Simon Bisley's okay. So it was like, okay, this is all stuff that I kind of like, so try it out.
There you go.
And and now I'm telling other people maybe you will or will not buy it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Anything else from you?
Yeah, I've just got one more thing.
Okay.
So this is a singular episode of a TV series, because normally a lot of TV series they'll do like a Halloween themed episode where everyone gets to dress up in costumes and go out trick-or-treating or whatever, and I can name 1,001 different episodes like that. Probably not 1,000, but like a lot of episodes where like I can name SpongeBob, Phineas and Ferb, a lot.
I mean, a lot of shows, yeah.
A lot of shows do that. I'm pretty sure there's episodes of the Goldbergs where they do that.
Yes, every year, actually.
There you go. But the one episode I'm talking about in particular actually comes from the Disney Channel series The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. For anyone who's listening, who knows exactly what I'm talking about just by saying the mere title of the actual series, you know what episode I'm thinking of.
Sure.
So this episode is called The Ghost of Sweet 613.
Okay.
And it's in season 1, it's episode 19, and pretty much how the episode goes, and if you don't know the story of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, it's about 2 twin boys who live with their mom, who's a singer, in the Tipton Hotel in Boston. And all the crazy shenanigans that goes on there with them, their mom, the hotel manager, the candy counter girl, and the owner's daughter, London. So there's an episode, though, where Zach, one of the twins, is playing pranks on everybody. He's playing pranks on Maddie, the candy counter girl, on Mr. Mosby, the manager. He's playing it on the bellhop. He's playing on his mom. He's playing it on literally everybody, and everyone is getting fed up with it. So they decide to scare him into believing that there is an actual ghost that resides in the hotel room 613.
Okay.
So they decide, because no one's living there. The last person who lived there apparently is like, died in the hotel room, creepy, spooky stuff. And they have the kids, so they bring the kids in and everything. And they're like, all right, Zach, we're going to stay the night here tonight. And we're going to, prove to you that there is a ghost in this room. And Cody is like, oh God, no, this is horrifying. I'm not about this. While the other's like, come on, we got to do it. And Zach thinks it's lame. And Esteban, who is the bellhop, or his full name, Esteban Julio Ricardo de la Rosa Ramirez.
Sure.
You have to say the whole name. It has to work. He decides to perform a seance in order to call the ghost. So they're all sitting around the table. He's performing the seance. And at first, Zach's like, oh, this is lame. It's not working. And then Esteban's voice changes into that of a mature, maybe 30, 40-year-old woman. As he's suddenly possessed by the ghost, and she's threatening everyone to get out, and so she starts throwing people from the table, she starts dragging them away, she starts doing all of these things, and pretty much by the end, everyone is gone except Zach, and he is freaking out. Like, he tries running out of the room, runs into a spider, he tries going somewhere else, and, the picture flashes at him, and it's just all these types of things, and at the end of the episode, he admits that he is completely, terrified, he's lost, he's sorry and everything like that, and everyone comes out and like, aha, I fooled you, it was a big prank in the end. And he was like, oh, I totally knew it was a prank. And everyone's like, is that why you were crying and screaming for your mom? Very obviously picking on him for the fact that it was very obvious he was terrified. And as soon as they all decide, all right, yep, we're done, let's pack up, let's leave the room, kind of creepy in there, and they do admit that. As they're leaving, Zach and Cody notice the picture of the woman that was hanging on the wall that flashed. She actually moves suddenly.
Oh.
And she kind of wave, actually, no. So as they're leaving the room and everything, this woman does appear in front of them, and they're like physically appear, like they just turn and there she is. And she just kind of waves at them and just kind of walks along, and they're like, who? They're looking at each other like, who is that? Like, what the heck is going on? And then she just kind of molds in with the photo on the wall, and she waves at him again from the photo, and then she goes back to being in her still frame, and both boys look at each other, scream, run out. And what's funny is that it's not even that scary of an episode if you actually think about it legitimately, at least compared to a Fistful of Blood.
Sure, right.
But ask any kid, again, who probably grew up with Halloween Town and Twitches, ask any of them if they've seen this episode, and they will say this is one of the scariest episodes that they grew up with as a kid.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's really interesting, and it's just really interesting that it's one of the scariest, even though it's just very much oh no, we're just pulling a prank on our friend, and it actually doesn't even happen on Halloween. It's just a random day in the year. I think, it's weird, but it's such a great episode. I had to mention it, so.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So this time I decided to keep a list of everything we were both mentioning while we were talking.
Oh.
So I'm going to give a quick rundown. So anyone who doesn't want to go back and rewind the entire episode and listen to us all again. Hey, the things we listed were the movie The Crow, the Halloween Town series, Rob Zombie's Hellbilly Deluxe, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, the Castlevania Anniversary Collection and the Bloodstained video games, Twitches and Twitches 2, the Fistful of Blood trade paperback graphic novel, however you want to call that, and the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Ghost of Sweet 613, with honorable mentions of The Nightmare Before Christmas and The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors. Most of the stuff we talked about is on Disney+.
I mean...
No,
if you actually consider actual Halloween-themed movies, a lot of them are horror, Andy. So
it's true, and neither of us are big horror fans. So,
no.
Yeah. So if you want to, if you're not the kind of person that wants to sit around watching all the Saw movies, or you've seen all the Universal classics a million times, or all right, I guess I could watch Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves again. Hey, here's some other things that are fun that maybe not quite as spooky, or in the case of Hellboy Deluxe, Castlevania, and Fistful of Blood, things that aren't movies.
Yeah.
Things that aren't TV shows, things you could do that aren't sitting in front of a screen. Although I guess you could totally listen to Hellblade Deluxe on Spotify and Castlevania you do in front of a screen, and you could get digital. Anyways, it's besides the point. Hey, follow us on social media. You can find us at Atomic Monsoon on, where are we? Twitter and Facebook, and with the underscore on Instagram. And you can email us questions at atomicmonsoon@gmail.com, and you can find some stuff on our Redbubble store, and find all of our past episodes at atomicmonsoon.com. And if whatever podcast aggregator you're using, please rate, review, and subscribe to us. Although we did say we were going to talk about the scariest thing of all on our Halloween episode, Stephanie. Atomic Monsoon is going to be ending with episode 100.
No.
Yeah. It's nothing personal. We're both still friends. We're still friends with Josh. Just with the way that 2020 has gone and the changes in the world right now. And listen, quite honestly, like Steffi and I we're very good friends, and we have a lot of stuff in common, but we've kind of talked about most of the overlap of things that we have in common.
Yeah.
And with the way that the pandemic has shaken things out, I'm sure you've noticed in the last several episodes, last 30 episodes, Josh really can't join us. Just because of the way work schedule is going and him helping out his family to keep them safe. So we all talked about it, and we all decided that we're going to stick it out till episode 100 to give us a nice round number, and then we're going to call it done. I am in the process with talking with Voice America about doing at least one, if not multiple, follow-up podcasts. So we're not just going away completely, but just a heads up, there's only going to be a handful of episodes after this one. So be sure to subscribe, actually, so that you don't miss any of them. And maybe start sending us through the email some of your favorite Atomic Monsoon memories. What were your favorite episodes? What were some of our favorite things that we have talked about? And what is something that we haven't talked about that you'd like us to cover? Because we've only got a few episodes left. So... yeah. Hey, we love you guys. This isn't the band breaking up because we're mad at each other. This is the band breaking up because we all want to have solo careers. So
yep. It's like what happened with One Direction, I guess. So
yeah, or Led Zeppelin, or our drummer didn't die, but
no, we don't have a drummer.
No. Josh is just not available. He's still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Yeah, and but it's time for Jimmy Page and Robert Plant to go their separate way, and that's not to say we won't do other projects in the future.
Oh yeah, no.
But
we may pop in on each other's new projects in the future.
Hey, wouldn't that be fun? Get some, atomic reunions going on. Monsoonians. Atomic Monsoonians. No.
That sounds like something else.
Yeah, it just sounds like dinner.
That's what I was thinking of. I think it's also because I'm hungry and there's a sandwich waiting for me now.
Hey, all right, I'm going to let you go eat that sandwich. Hey, everyone, if you're listening to this beforehand, have a happy Halloween this year. Be as safe as possible. I know my roommates and I are not handing out candy because we don't want to accidentally share anything that we don't have to. We're just going to hang out and watch movies and eat a lot of candy and popcorn. So
there you go.
Yeah, guys, be safe out there because we want you to listen to our last 10 episodes.
Yes.
Happy Halloween.
Hey, look, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Good grief.